Only in Chicago would people complain about the fact that their team hired an all-time great manager. I swear, only in Chicago would that happen. Now, this isn't to say that Tony La Russa is going to succeed, win a World Series, do everything that the White Sox say he's going to do. I don't think it's going to happen. I'll explain why in a moment. But the fact that there's been so much negative reaction around this hiring just baffles me. The guy's one of the greatest managers of all time. All time. One of the best. Third all time in wins. He's going to be second. Going to be second by the time his tenure here is over. And yet, for some reason, people are all over this hiring. People saying he's out of touch with the game. He's 77, he's too old. Who are you to say that? How do you know? That's actually an arrogant statement. How are you to know how well he's going to do? How are you to know whether he's too old for the job? We just had two 70-plus-year-olds run for the presidency. That's a much tougher job than managing the White Sox. No one asked or no one questioned why those two were the candidates. People just said, okay, let's vote. There was never a true question about age. And if there was, then I guarantee you we wouldn't be talking about the two candidates out there. There were murmurs here and there, but in the end, people voted. People voted their conscience. Why does that not apply to Tony La Russa and the White Sox? Why are we saying that the presidency, two 70-plus-year-olds running, is okay? No one questions it. But the minute the White Sox make a managerial hiring, it's an issue. I don't get it. I don't understand. Look, whether you like it or not, Tony La Russa has done many things with many different teams. He was great here in Chicago before Hawk let him go. He won a World Series in Oakland. He won multiple World Series in St. Louis. And even though he hasn't been in the dugout since 2011, he's been around the game. He's been an executive. Arizona, Boston, Los Angeles. He's worked inside the MLB front office. The guy knows the game. He's been around the game. It's not like he's been completely secluded for 9 years. He hasn't been living under a rock for 9 years. Now he's managing again. He's been around the game every step of the way, just not in the dugout. He knows the way the game has changed, I think. Now, whether he abides by it's a different issue, but he knows how the game has changed. He knows it's all about bat flips, and it's all about new rules, pace of play, instant replay. He was in the front office of the MLB when instant replay was introduced. He was one of the guys who wanted it to happen. Tony La Russa knows the game of baseball. And just because he wasn't the hotshot 45-year-old A.J. Hinch, that's no reason to say he's a bad manager, he's bad for this team, the Sox don't know what they're doing. This is arguably the most qualified candidate for the job. That's without question. I know the Sox were also considering Bruce Bochy, another guy, qualified for the job. A.J. Hinch, not necessarily as qualified. He won a World Series, they cheated. Technically, that counts as nothing. Tony La Russa, to my knowledge, won World Series by, playing all the games without knowing what pitches were coming. Now, he did have steroid users on his team, but again, different story. He's not the one condoning it. He's not the one saying do it. Those are the players making individual decisions. Tony La Russa is not a bad hire, and you will never convince me otherwise. It is fair to say that Rick Renteria got the short end of the stick. And if you subscribe to this channel, if you listen on the radio, you know I was adamant about the White Sox keeping him for one more year. Rick Renteria is an AL Manager of the Year finalist, and he's gotten fired. That's ridiculous. If he wins, it'll be even more ridiculous. He did a great job with what he had. He built this organization into what it is. And that's what I didn't like about that firing. He works year after year during a rebuild to build a culture, to help develop some players, to make this team a contender. He's near the finish line, and he's taken out of the race. If the Sox win the World Series this year, all of the credit will go to Tony La Russa and to the players. No one will remember Rick Renteria. He won't get a ring. No one will care. And that's very, very wrong. Same here in Chicago with the Cubs. Builds the team, has guys like Joe Mather starting in games because the Cubs are rebuilding, Edwin Jackson, all of these guys who had no business even being in Major League Baseball. That's who he dealt with. 2014 gets them to 70 wins. 2015, goodbye. Joe Maddon's here. 2016, win the World Series. Guarantee you Rick Renteria was not sent a ring. No one was grateful for his contributions. They just said goodbye. That is so wrong on so many levels. And the fact that it's happened to him again really makes me feel for him. I hope he gets another job. He's more than deserving of it, knowing what he's done with the Cubs and the White Sox. I'm not happy with the way that was treated. And to this day, I'll always contend he should have had one more year. He should have had one more year to develop this team to see where it went. It's not his fault they had no starting pitching. They're going to spend money this offseason. Tony La Russa is going to have an outstanding roster. So, of course, naturally, the Sox are going to win more games. Is that fair? Who does that reflect on, La Russa or the players? Or Renteria? See how that works? So I'll never forgive the White Sox nor the Cubs for making those moves. That being said, La Russa on paper is the best man for this job. I emphasize the words on paper, though, and here's why. As much as I respect a Hall of Fame manager like La Russa, as much as I know about his track record, winning World Series in both leagues, winning with different teams, it's not going to work here in Chicago. Tony La Russa will not work here in Chicago. It has nothing to do with him. He's a great manager. He's a Hall of Famer. You can't deny that. It has everything to do with the new age of the game and his players. This isn't 2011 anymore. This isn't 1995. This isn't 1987. It's 2020 and then 2021. These players are not going to connect with someone like La Russa. As much as I want it to happen, it's not going to happen. These guys don't care what he's done. Every player and every fan for the White Sox looks to him as a dinosaur. That is so wrong. Oh, what he did before was a different game. It means nothing. Really? It means more than you've ever done in your baseball career. No one on the White Sox has ever had the success that La Russa has. He's the most qualified man in that clubhouse, in the front office, on the field. Yet no one will give him respect. We've already seen that happen amongst fans. It's going to come for players too. No one is giving him the respect and the opportunity he deserves. Everyone's quick to judge right away. Right away, this isn't going to work. Right away, he's a horrible hire. No. Give the guy a chance. He is a baseball-savvy guy. On paper, he's a good hire. But the fans' reaction sums up how the players are going to react in the clubhouse. It's not going to be good. No one will think of him as a man who could lead this team to success. People will just look at him and say, he's a dinosaur, he's too old. That's wrong, but that's the truth. Look at around the game today. Look at what we saw in the World Series. Analytics and youth and new ideas, they're taking over. Kevin Cash, young guy. Brandon Hyde with the Orioles, younger guy. A lot of young managers are coming into focus now. The analytics, the shift, all of that stuff is being prioritized. See, if Tony La Russa had players who were open-minded, this would work out great. Because while everybody else shifts to analytics, they could be an old-school team. And I guarantee you it would win them a lot of ball games. La Russa leading that team, having young guys who had an open mind and wanted to play to their strengths, it'd be a great situation. They'd win a lot, but it's not going to happen. Tony La Russa, on paper, he's an outstanding hire. I can't think of anybody else who's more qualified for the position. That being said, his players will lead to his demise. No one wants to hear a 77-year-old tell them what to do in today's game. Before it was different. Before there was respect for managers. Before people cared about your track record. But these young guys don't care. They want youth. They want someone who's going to let them flip the bat and throw it into the air. They don't care about credentials. They don't care how many World Series you've won. Their contention is that the game was different back then. So it's irrelevant. That's not just players. That's everybody who's commented on this hiring. I've seen it all over the place. Oh, those World Series mean nothing. Those are the stone ages of baseball. Really? He just won one 9 years ago. He left the game on top. He won another in the 80s. What's the problem with that? People continue to discredit La Russa. And I know the clubhouse will too. There's going to be tension there. Guys don't want to listen to a 77-year-old in today's game. They don't. They want to hear about computers and analytics and spray charts and shifts and bat flipping and the new culture of the game. They don't want to hear some old-timer talk to them about how the game really is meant to be played. No one wants to hear that today. No one wants to hear Tony La Russa talk about his success in the past. To them, it means nothing. To everybody, it means nothing. Which is a shame. And that's why this won't work. In theory, it's a great hire. In reality, with the roster he has, it's not going to work. They're too ingrained in today's baseball culture. They're not open-minded enough to listen to Tony La Russa. They look at him immediately and say he's a dinosaur, he knows nothing. That's not the case. He knows a lot about the game. More than you'll ever know. He's been around the game for more than you'll ever be around the game. And it doesn't matter to these people. It doesn't matter to anybody. That's why the reaction has been so negative. When you look back at his career, there's really no one in baseball history who has the managerial credentials he has. 3 World Series, 3rd all-time in wins. There are not many guys who could say, I've done the same thing. At baseball players today, baseball fans today, they don't care. It's a shame that history is being rejected, that people from the past are being disregarded, but that's where we stand in today's game. Look at the World Series, great example. Look at how much the game has changed in a period of 10 years, 15 years. The game today is completely different from the game 15 years ago. Players know that. Fans know that. So why would they even give La Russa the time of day? Why would Sox players even care about what he has to say? They won't. And that's why this won't work. It has nothing to do with La Russa's talent, with his credentials, with how he deals with players. It has everything to do with his roster not being open-minded enough to listen to what he has to say. That's why this won't work. This is not a knock on La Russa. It's not a knock on the hiring. I liked it personally. But this is the reality. This is the game we live in today. We watch. People don't care about history. People don't care about your track record. People just disregard it and say it means nothing. It was a different era. What will you do today? And because of that mindset, because of all the negativity surrounding this hiring, it's not going to work. And that's a shame. More to come here on Sports Talk Chicago. My interview with Scott Merkin comes up next, so stay tuned. Hey, do you want to make some money this weekend? What if I told you I have an easy way for you to make $250 free dollars plus more? Here's what you have to do. Go to sportstalkchicago.com/cash. sportstalkchicago.com/cash. Illinois residents only. You have to be 21 or over. You can bet for $250 free dollars on any game you want this weekend. Bears game, college football. Whatever you want to do. It's that simple. You get $250 free dollars to bet. It's a great deal. Risk-free, and you don't have to know a lot about betting. Again, go to sportstalkchicago.com/cash. sportstalkchicago.com/cash. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.